Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. We're going to be looking at Cleanspark today. I'm going to be running over the chart a little bit and talking about the potential outcomes of what Cleanspark could possibly do in terms of its relationship to Bitcoin. So if we take a look here on the weekly chart, we've had one massive rally up and one massive push back down. We literally lost all the gains that were made up until 2021, and then we lost all of that in 2022, and now we've been kind of rallying up. So is this going to repeat the same pattern, or do we get a bounce from here? So recently this has been extremely bullish. As you can see, we've been respecting this trend line for some time, and then we finally broke underneath it, and now we're focused on this downward sloping trend line here. But we are also coming up to this horizontal level of support underneath price. Now, the issue is that we closed inside of it. So let's see where the next move takes us, because we tried getting some bounces here previously on the earlier weeks in February, in early March. And now this past week, we just closed underneath those wicks, those bottom wicks here. So that's not a good sign. I do think if we crack underneath 639, that there's a increased likelihood, it doesn't have to happen of course, that we could see 360. Not to be the bearer of bad news or super bearish, but that's just what the technicals are telling me, just because when you look to the left after this move here, this is just a clean move down. Absolutely clean. There's no wicks, there's not a bunch of stuff going on, it doesn't look crazy. It's just two clean candles. So you could see a couple clean candles on the way back down. So it's kind of similar to how fast we went up here and how fast we came back down. It's kind of the same concept. So we'll see how it plays out, of course. Now towards the upside, if we do crack above 890, this level right here, and we can break this downward sloping trend line, then I could see us pushing up to about 1317 to about 1224, this region right here. So I'll draw those out for you. So see a region like that we could push up to, and prior to that we'd have to break this level here. So if we break this, maybe we get a retest of this downward sloping trend line along with this horizontal level of support and resistance, and then we get our next move up, and then that's our next resistance with this horizontal level of support and resistance and this upward sloping trend line. If we can reclaim this upward sloping trend line and horizontal level of support, then now price has a chance of pushing back to 20 bucks all the way up to $25. But we also need Bitcoin to start rallying up again, which potentially it could start soon because of global liquidity and the lag time that it has, about 75 days, and then the M2 money supply, which is also 75 to 107 days, something along those lines, where global liquidity and M2 money supply are the leading indicators for Bitcoin's next move up or down. In theory, if it continues to do what it has done in the past, which it doesn't have to, it should be going up relatively soon, because we're within that striking window where price can start moving up on Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin starts moving up, maybe we can get a stronger move to the upside here on Cleanspark. I know it's definitely been tough being a part of Cleanspark, as things have just been bleeding out dramatically day after day. So I know it's hard to even see the optimistic scenario, but it is possible if Bitcoin starts to move up at a quick pace and continues its normal cycle that it's been doing for the past couple cycles, where it's 3 years up, 1 year down. It doesn't have to play out like that. Bitcoin cycles can come to an end. Past history doesn't have to play out again. But in terms of SMAs on the weekly, we're underneath all three. We got a strong bounce off of the 200 week and this horizontal level of support and resistance, and now we're moving down. On the daily, it's practically the same thing. We just lost a 20-day, and it looks like we just made some fresh lows. So let's see what the next move is. Hopefully it's not any lower, but there's a good chance that it will be, especially since Bitcoin is just broke underneath 82,000. On the Bollinger Bands, we are at the bottom band. We normally don't spend a lot of times on the outer bands in general on Bollinger Bands, but this could potentially have a little ride down like we've seen here. But we normally bounce between the outer bands and the middle bands consistently. On the weekly, we are also at the outer band, pushing down, probably get a touch before the next move up, potentially. On the daily RSI, we were creating some bullish momentum, and now we kind of fell underneath this yellow moving average. So now it looks like we kind of lost that momentum, and now we're headed to the downside a little bit more. So we'll see how it plays out, of course. But we kind of did have some divergence where price was going up. The RSI was going up, but price was kind of just trending sideways. So usually you have a strong move after that. It's bullish divergence. But it looks like we had that strong move, and then price kind of just bottomed from there. It just kind of like fell out. On the weekly, it's kind of the same thing. We've just been trending downward. We're headed to oversold levels. We almost got there in September before the next rally up. So let's see if maybe this is just a nice double bottom and we see something similar to this. It does not have to play out like this. I'm just giving you multiple scenarios. So maybe we get something like that. If Bitcoin starts to rally and bring Cleanspark along with it, all the miners, Mara, Riot, Iron, bearish, and we're turning down even more now, and volume starting to kick up, showing increased trend to the downside. And we did have some kind of bullish nature creating here, and now it looks like it's starting to die out and potentially turning back bearish. And this blue line is starting to push back to the orange, and if it falls underneath, that's going to be an increased chance and likelihood that price continues to fall with an increase in volume. But overall, when you zoom out, the most recent moves that have been made on Cleanspark are still bullish in nature. If we look at it, it's still a nice bull flag. You have your flag, unless you want to draw it from here, which you could do that as well. But if you take it from here to here, you have still a bull flag intact, which is bullish, but you could be losing that bull flag sooner than later. And now, in terms of Fibonacci, we're getting down to the 786, which is it's kind of extended down move. And once you lose the 786 and you start moving to the 886, that move, this is like the last line in the sand. You know, from the 618 and up, those are all strong moves to the upside. So if you're trending upward and you get a pullback to any of these zones, it goes to show that price is most likely going to continue up. So we need to get a bounce here off the 786 and reclaim this golden zone and continue pushing higher. So we can reclaim this bullish trend and turn this bearish move around, because right now bears are in control and we want to get the bulls back in control and take over. That's all I have for you guys. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.